You see them, week in, week out. Those youth sports coaches,
Yeah, on the sidelines, always there.
especially in volleyball, right? It's so technical,
Yeah.
and they just pour hours and hours into it. So what keeps them going, like year after year?
That's exactly what we're digging into today. We've looked at quite a bit of material trying to understand what really fuels that long-term dedication in experienced youth volleyball coaches.
Right.
We're trying to get past the surface level, what makes them stick with it.
Yeah, exactly. We looked at, well, all sorts of things. Stuff like the rules for national junior championships,
Mm-hmm.
team setups, who's eligible,
Mm-hmm.
and then also the thinking behind it, coaching philosophies, insights from experienced coaches like Dr. Darren Cannell.
And things like long-term athlete development models, too.
Absolutely.
Right.
It gives you a pretty wide view of youth volleyball and like how crucial these coaches are. You see organizations like the Canadian Elite Academy focusing on that whole athlete picture.
Yeah, they really highlight the long game these coaches are playing.
So the goal here is really to figure out what motivates these coaches to, well, to shape these young players. It's not just about the volleyball skills, is it? It's about their growth as people, too.
That's the core of it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Based on everything we looked at, what are some of those main reasons coaches stay dedicated for the long haul?
Well, one thing that comes through really strongly again and again is the impact they actually have on the kids.
Okay.
Coaching resources, they talk a lot about developing the whole athlete. So yeah, the skills, serving, passing, setting, all that.
Blocking, attacking, yeah.
Right. But also the physical stuff like agility, coordination, and beyond that, their thinking skills, social skills, emotional stuff too.
So it's way more than just teaching how to bump, set, spike. It's bigger picture.
Exactly. Coaching philosophies really emphasize this. These coaches, they help instill things like teamwork, respect, good sportsmanship,
Hmm.
and they guide kids through, the tough parts of competing, losing, making mistakes, building that resilience.
Learning to bounce back.
Yeah. And seeing that growth, that development over years, that seems to be a huge source of satisfaction for them. Like Dr. Cannell's work often touches on how just believing in a kid can make such a difference.
Oh, for sure.
It builds their confidence way beyond just the volleyball court.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Imagine the feeling, watching a player you coached when they were just starting out finally make the school team or even go further.
Absolutely. And another thing the resources point to is how important it is to create a sort of positive space for everyone.
Inclusive, yeah.
Right, inclusive, regardless of how good they are right now. Coaches are really pushed to give everyone fair chances to play and feel like they belong on the team.
Okay.
And that focus on building a good team culture, that definitely helps keep everyone involved long-term, the players and the coaches.
So this is where it gets interesting. We saw a lot about the kind of nuts and bolts, the structure,
Yeah.
the team lists, eligibility rules, even stuff about uniforms and refs from those GJNC guidelines.
Right, the formal side of things.
Yeah. How does a coach's dedication, their commitment, fit in with all that formal structure?
Well, those structures, like the GJNC rules or Volleyball Canada's LTAD framework, they basically set the stage where the coaches work.
Okay.
And the coach's commitment is essential for making those systems actually function. They're the ones responsible for making sure the team meets the eligibility rules, plays by the game rules,
Following the guidelines.
and making sure it's a safe environment. That's a huge point in things like the Safe Sport Training Toolkit and Volleyball Canada's own guidelines, keeping things open, observable.
So they're not just teaching skills, they're kind of guardians of the sport's integrity, too.
Exactly. And think about that LTAD framework, long-term athlete development. It's all about a slow, steady progression over many years.
Or it's not about winning next weekend, necessarily.
Precisely. So the dedicated coaches, they're the ones putting those long-term plans into action. They get that real success isn't just about the scoreboard now, but about nurturing potential over time. They focus on, say, basic movement skills for the little ones, and then gradually bring in more complex tactics as the kids get older.
Different stages.
Yeah, understanding those developmental stages is key. And a coach who's really committed to that long view probably gets a lot of satisfaction seeing kids move through those stages, watching their abilities evolve.
We also saw some interesting points about the coach's role during practice, like guiding more than actually playing themselves.
Yeah.
How does that maybe feed into their commitment staying strong?
Well, shifting from showing how to do it to guiding the players to figure it out,
Hmm.
that suggests a deeper investment in the player's own learning process, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
By letting players sort of own their development, get more touches on the ball, figure things out in drills, coaches are building autonomy, critical thinking.
Right, they're empowering them.
Exactly. And that approach, it can lead to bigger long-term rewards for the coach. Seeing athletes become more self-sufficient, understanding the game more deeply, it shows trust in the players. Focuses on sustainable growth, not just immediate results driven by the coach.
So what about the coaches themselves? What's in it for them personally? What keeps them coming back?
Our sources definitely point to some internal rewards. There's that deep satisfaction we talked about seeing players progress, not just in volleyball, but as people.
The mentoring aspect.
Yes, coaches often become mentors, role models, and the relationships they build with players, families, the whole team community that can be incredibly rewarding.
You become part of something.
Right. Plus, there's a real emphasis on coaches learning continuously, too, getting feedback, reflecting, doing professional development. It suggests many are driven by just wanting to get better at coaching itself. That fuels the passion over time.
So it's kind of a two-way street then. Coaches invest in the athletes, and they get back personal growth, a sense of purpose.
Precisely. And we absolutely have to mention the importance of ethical coaching here.
Yeah, that came up a lot.
The materials really stress treating everyone with respect, ensuring it's safe, supportive, following rules about contact, emotional well-being.
All the safe sports stuff.
Exactly. Coaches who are truly committed to those ethical standards, they're probably going to feel better about their role, stick with it longer, because they know they're building a healthy sports culture.
Okay, so if we boil it all down,
Mm.
what are the main takeaways? Why do these dedicated youth volleyball coaches play the long game?
It seems like a few key things are woven together. First, the huge impact they see themselves having on the kids' overall development skills, character, life lessons.
Holistic view.
Second, the personal rewards, that deep satisfaction from seeing growth and building those relationships.
That sense of fulfillment.
Third, the enjoyment of actually creating positive, tight-knit team environments where kids feel like they belong and are supported.
Building that culture.
And finally, it seems like a real commitment to doing it the right way ethically and always wanting to learn and improve as a coach themselves.
And it feels like creating that supportive, inclusive environment, like the safe sports stuff and LTAD principles, that's just fundamental, isn't it, for the kids and for keeping the coaches engaged?
Absolutely. It's like a positive cycle. When the kids thrive in that environment, the coaches feel a stronger sense of purpose, more accomplished in what they do.
It really does make you think, doesn't it, about coaches maybe you had or coaches you see now with kids you know. Their dedication often just goes way beyond the basics.
Yeah, it really does. And it brings up a pretty big question, actually. What would youth sports even look like without coaches like that? Without the ones who stick around, committed to the long-term development?
That's a powerful thought.
It's definitely something to chew on. Maybe, looking into resources from places like the Canadian Elite Academy or reading more from Dr. Cornell could give even more insight into what drives these really dedicated coaches.